Hello everyone, my name is Shizuka Dogans. I'm thrilled to share my passion for green tea with you today. I was born and raised in Japan in a family that owned green tea business. At 19, I came to the United States to study English in San Diego. 35 years later, I'm still here. Now I live with my husband, Jeremy, and little Chiweenie, Bella. I've been working for a company called Rapala, a Finnish fishing company, for the last 25 years. I'm also a certified Japanese green tea advisor, certified by NPO, Nihoncha Instructor Association in Japan. I founded a Japanese cultural center after a Japanese library that was formed by Yoko Breckenridge was unexpectedly closed. We are called Cha'ami Japanese Cultural Center. The name Cha'ami holds a special significance. Cha symbolizing the tradition of gathering over tea, which is deeply rooted in Japanese culture and associated with health and well-being. The dual meaning of ami, friends in French, and weaving in Japanese, reflect our mission to foster friendship, community, and creative expression. We officially became a 501c3 nonprofit organization in 2023. Recently, we moved to a new location in St. Anthony, and we're getting ready for our grand opening. If you haven't subscribed to our website yet, I encourage you to do so. We'll be sending out an announcement as soon as we're fully ready to welcome everyone. I hope you'll join us in celebrating this exciting new chapter. In this video, we'll explore the fascinating history of tea, learn how all tea comes from a single plant, dive into how green tea is processed and what makes it unique. I'll also share a bit about my hometown, Saitama, Japan, famous for its Sayama green tea. Finally, I will demonstrate how to brew sencha. Today, I'm using sencha from my hometown, including tea sources Purple Iris Sencha, which you can purchase right here in the Twin Cities. General history of tea. Tea's story begins over 4,000 years ago in ancient China, where legend has it that it was discovered by Emperor Shennun. Shennun most often appears as a human in Asian depictions, usually chewing on herbs to discover their medicinal properties. Other depictions include a bovine-headed man with an iron skull, and a human man with transparent stomach, which he could see the effect of herbs on his body. He was an emperor who's believed to have taught the Chinese people agricultural practices and how to create and use a wide range of medicines. How he discovered tea was rather an accident. As he sat beneath a tree, a servant boiled drinking water. A leaf fell from the tree into the pot. Instead of boiling a fresh pot, he decided to taste the new brew, and when he had it, the toxin in his body could be seen clearing away from his translucent gut. Now this is the story how tea was discovered. 8th to 9th century, tea traveled along the Silk Road, reaching Central Asia and Persia through trade. Nomadic tribes and merchants adopted tea as a key part of their diet and culture. Around the same time, in early 9th century, tea was introduced to Japan by Buddhist monks. The earliest record points to the monk Saicho, and later in 12th century, tea was introduced by another Buddhist monk named Eisai. He brought tea seeds from China after studying Zen Buddhism. Eisai promoted tea for meditation, health, and longevity, and eventually it was led to the development of tea ceremony we call sado, meaning way of tea. 16th to 17th century, Portuguese and Dutch traders brought tea to Europe, and it was the Dutch East India Company made tea very popular in Europe. Tea drinking became fashionable, particularly in Britain, and it became a national obsession by the 18th century. In America, tea made its way to the American colonies through British influence in 17th to 18th century. And we know the Boston Tea Party, 1773, became a pivotal moment in American history, symbolizing protest against British taxation on tea. And this had ultimately led to the start of the American Revolution. As demand globally grew in 19th century, the British began cultivating tea in India and Sri Lanka to break China's monopoly. Meanwhile, in Japan, tea continued evolving during the Edo period, which is 1603 to 1867, and Meiji period, 1868 to 1912, leading to unique tea varieties like sencha and gyokuro. All tea comes from one plant. I would like to introduce a plant called Camellia sinensis. This could be a surprising fact about tea to some of you. Whether you're drinking delicate green tea, strong black tea, or even rich fermented pu'er tea, all these teas come from a single plant. The secret lies in how tea leaves are processed and treated after they are harvested. There are two main varieties of Camellia sinensis. First is Camellia sinensis, native to China. This variety has small leaves and thrives in cooler climate, often used to produce teas like green tea and white tea. These teas tend to have light and more delicate flavor. And there is Camellia sinensis assamica, originally from Assam region of India. This variety has large leaves and it loves warm and humid climate. Often used to produce teas like strong black tea and aged pu'er tea. So how a single plant turns into different teas is all about oxidation and processing after tea leaves are harvested. Green tea. Tea leaves are quickly steamed to prevent fermentation, and this process preserves the green color and fresh grassy flavor. Black tea is fully oxidized, so it's very dark and has a robust flavor. Oolong tea is partially oxidized, so it's not as dark as black tea, and it falls between black tea and green tea. White tea is the least processed and made from young leaves and buds, resulting in delicate flavor. Pu'er tea is fermented tea that continues to age, developing complex flavor over time. It's amazing to think that such a wide range of teas, each with its own personality and history, all trace their roots to one humble plant. So next time you enjoy your cup of tea, take a moment to appreciate the journey of those tea leaves. Fields where Camellia sinensis grows, to careful hands that craft it into the tea you have in your cup. Every sip holds centuries of tradition and expertise. Now there is another fascinating fact, not just how it's made, but also how it traveled around the world and how we refer to it. We may have noticed there are tea shops, and also there are shops using a word cha. This difference can be traced back to how tea spread from China. We talked about the general history of tea earlier. In southern China, where ports like Canton, Guangzhou were active in maritime trade, the word for tea was te in the local Minnan dialect. This pronunciation spread by sea, influencing languages like English, tea, Dutch, thee, and French, thee. Meanwhile, tea that traveled by land routes, such as the Silk Road, carried the Mandarin word cha to countries like Japan, ocha, India, chai, Russia, chai, and Persia, chai. Despite the differences in appearance, taste, and aroma, the common origin of all true tea highlights the remarkable versatility of the Camellia sinensis plant. How green tea is processed. Let me briefly walk you through the steps involved in making green tea. These are cut-out illustrations from a textbook I studied, and I hope they help clarify the process. Number 1. Steaming process. The steaming process deactivates the oxidizing enzymes in fresh tea leaves, removes any unpleasant odors, and softens the leaves to make the subsequent rolling process easier. The steaming time varies depending on the maturity of the fresh leaves, but for standard sencha, it typically lasts 30 to 40 seconds. Number 2. Rough rolling. In this step, the steamed leaves are stirred in hot air while being rolled to evenly reduce their moisture content. Inside the rough rolling machine, there is a rotating axis equipped with rolling hands and leaf sweepers, which mimic hand rolling by steering the leaves and applying pressure. Number 3. Kneading. This is the only step where no heat is applied. Since stems are slower to dry compared to leaves, this process needs the leaves to evenly distribute moisture throughout the tea leaves. Number 4. Intermediate rolling. Similar to rough rolling, this step involves rolling the leaves while drying them further. It also twists and refines the leaves into finer shapes. The interior of the rotary intermediate rolling machine contains a rotating axis, which rotates both internally and externally while applying hot air. The leaves are removed when they have dried to the point where they naturally separate when squeezed and released. Number 5. This step involves further drying the leaves while rolling them to form needle-like shapes. The rolling is done on a curved board with a washboard-like texture known as daku. This process twists the leaves into thin, elongated needle-like shapes. Number 6. Drying. Finally, the leaves are spread out in a drying machine and exposed to hot air to remove any remaining moisture. At this stage, the moisture content is kept at around 5%. When dried, tea leaves are called aracha, which translate to crude tea in Japanese, refers to green tea that has undergone the initial stage of processing but has not yet been fully refined. Finished dried rough tea, aracha, goes through refinement and it is refined by sorting to remove stems, twigs, and broken leaves. Then blend teas from different farms or harvest for consistency in flavor and quality, and shaping to match thickness, length, and weight. It is then heated in a heating machine. This brings out the mellow sweetness, richness, refreshing aroma, and beautiful green color that are unique to Japanese green tea. Since I'm from Saitama, I'd like to take a moment to highlight what makes Sayamacha special. These photos are from my hometown, including one taken at the tea festival a few years ago. During that visit, I helped my family with the booth at the festival and had a chance to reconnect with my schoolmate and meet her daughter. What sets Sayamacha apart is its origin and unique growing condition. Sayamacha, cultivated in my hometown of Saitama, stands out for its rich umami flavor and slightly roasted aroma. The cooler climate in Saitama contributes to its depth of flavor as the plants work harder to grow, concentrating the nutrients and taste in each leaf. This dedication to quality makes Sayamacha a truly special green tea. How to brew loose leaf tea. Sencha. Here are some Kyushu teapots available at Tea Source. Specially designed for brewing Japanese tea. When selecting a Kyushu, look for one with a built-in metal mash filter as it's ideal for steeping Japanese green tea. These filters help keep the smaller tea leaves from ending up in your cup, ensuring a smooth and enjoyable tea experience. For amount of tea, use about 2 to 3 grams of tea leaf per person. If you are preparing tea for just one person, a general rule is to use around 5 grams. But it's always a good idea to follow the instruction on the package or consult the staff at Tea Source for additional guidance. Here's a screenshot of their website for Kyushu teapot instruction for purple iris. 8 grams for 8 ounces of water with water temperature at 175 degrees Fahrenheit and steep for 60 seconds. Now, prepare a teapot Kyushu that can hold enough water for the number of people, along with teacups for everyone. I prepared 3 cups today, so I can show you something important later when pouring the tea. Boil water for 3 to 5 minutes, then pour it into the teacups for each person. This serves to warm the cups, lower the water temperature, and measure the right amount of water. You could use a thermometer, but here's a tip. Generally, the boiling water temperature will drop about 10 degrees Celsius when you pour it into a different cup. That means the water temperature now will be about 90 degrees Celsius or 194 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, pouring this water into the teapot, this will again reduce the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius, which then the water temperature will be 80 degrees Celsius or 175 degrees Fahrenheit, which the instruction on the package suggests. And now steep for 60 seconds, as again instructed on the package. Amino acids such as theanine, which contribute to umami, are released even at lower temperature around 50 degrees Celsius or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. However, catechins and caffeine, which create bitterness and astringency, are extracted at higher temperature above 80 degrees Celsius or 176 degrees Fahrenheit. If you want to emphasize the umami flavors, brewing with water below 80 degrees Celsius or 176 degrees Fahrenheit will help highlight these delicate tastes while minimizing bitterness. Keep in mind, though, catechin has significant medicinal properties. So, proper temperature control is key to achieving a well-balanced flavor profile. Now, pour the tea into the cups in small amounts, alternating cups in multiple rounds. This is called mawashitsugi, circular pouring. Just like I am doing here, pour a little into cups 1, 2, and 3, then return in reverse order 3, 2, and 1, repeating as needed. This ensures that the flavor and quantity in each cup are uniform. It's essential to pour until the last drop, leaving no tea in the teapot. This last drop is the most delicious and concentrated, often referred to as the golden drop. By pouring out all the tea completely during the first brew, you ensure that the second brew will taste just as good as the first. This beautiful hue reflects the tea's freshness and umami flavor. One thing I cannot share with you through screen is this wonderful aroma of this freshly brewed tea. It's so inviting and adds to the overall experience. I encourage you to try brewing green tea yourself to enjoy not just the taste but also aroma and visual beauty of this tea. If you're in the Twin Cities, Tea Source in St. Anthony is a great place to find excellent green teas like the purple iris sencha I used today. Let me show you some of the other green teas they carry. One thing to note though is that the green tea is a seasonal product, so some of these teas might be low in stock right now. However, the first harvest, which we call Shincha in Japanese, will be available in late spring or early summer. At that time, Tea Source will restock with the fresh batch of delicious green teas from Japan. Thank you so much for watching our Nihoncha video. It was an absolute pleasure sharing the glimpse of Japanese culture and knowledge through this engaging activity. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Japan. Your interest and participation mean the world to us and help us continue fostering cultural connection and understanding. If you have any question, feedback, or ideas for future event, we would love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more exciting updates from Chami Japanese Cultural Center. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you at our future event. ありがとうございました。